Birchwood Montessori Charter School is in its first year of operation with 3 levels of classes: pre-K and kindergarten, lower elementary, including grades 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and upper elementary, grades 4th, 5th, and 6th. The school features multi-grade classrooms where students work at their own pace. The students progress through the curriculum by demonstrating mastery of specific subject components before they move on. It's a student-centered learning environment where teachers are called facilitators who encourage the young people to research their specific interests, stimulating an innate desire to discover and learn.
Do they have any common expressions? You know, like Bugs Bunny always says, "What's up, Doc?"
Working on Europe, like memorizing all of the states and the waters and mountains and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm trying to
Can you
memorize.
tell me what's going on over here, this country?
Over here?
Yeah. Oscar, why do you like the Montessori?
Just that I can do pretty much anything in the room that I want whenever I want, and that I don't have anybody really telling me what to do, teaching me, making me sit here. I can move around a lot.
You think you're learning a lot?
I'm learning a lot.
How do you know you're learning a lot?
Well, because for an example, I memorized the whole entire periodic table of elements, so...
And what are you doing, Miranda?
I'm doing the flat bead frame. It's multiplication. The gray ones go up here, and the white ones go along here. We multiply the numbers here. So
And you're doing some
we
math
write
here?
them down here.
Yeah.
Then we add them up. Add up the 2 answers for both of these. So first we multiply this times all of these, and then this one times all of these. Then the answers we add up, and that's our answer.
Oh. This is a different way of doing math, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
So what do you think about being in a Montessori school?
I think it's really cool because I get to learn a lot of different things, and I can move as fast as I want in my learning.
Yep, just like that. They're all switched to the side.
And
Yep, so take the
I get to work on anything I want.
So do you feel like you're learning a lot doing this? I mean,
Yes.
I'm researching on weather lore sayings and how do meteorologists predict the weather.
Oh, wow. What is... Can I see this? What is... Odor, the frog... Oh, how do they sing? So...
Of course, the louder the frog, the more the rain. Of course. Well, of course, the frogs' noise are really sounds like chirping birds for some reason. Because every time when I go at sleep at night, I always hear them every night. And well, my theory is that meteorologists use satellites and radars to do cloud patterns to see if it's sunny or raining or not, or even if it has a big storm. And
Can I? This is it. Is this your first year in the Montessori school? How do you like it? I mean,
what? Well, obviously it's way more better than the one that I went last year.
why is it better?
Well, because I can do whatever, read what I want, write what I want, and also the assignments that I'm doing, they do it another. You can, take your time, not like forcing the person to do it. And trust me, it's I would say 120% cooler.
We are learning to develop our characters a little bit better now in our writing, so we don't just have, for instance, Cordell, the young man, We have Cordell, the 10-year-old superstar who has got 3 brothers and sisters and is from North Africa, and he's been part of the Olympic team. I'm just making this up.
Is this fictional writing you're doing?
Either or, fiction or
okay,
non-fiction. Because Cordell's actually, are you writing about he's writing a story that's
I was at my grandpa campus.
about himself.
Oh.
But to the reader, what I'm trying to impress upon these guys now is they need to learn what makes you special. Why are you interesting enough to write a story about? And so this sheet here is helping them with that. And so what they'll do is go fill it out and slowly add those pieces into their story.
The old show, don't tell, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
And this is kind of a self-checking mechanism. You know, in Montessori we call answer keys controls. And so, you know, you have all of your answers right here. You don't have to remember them, but now we just put them into the story. You know, and I heard you ask Carrie about how do they know if they learn the stuff. 2 different ways in here. We have controls, which is the answer key. We just give it to them, and they check with them. Or they show me mastery. For instance, multiplying fractions. If you can multiply fractions, I'm not going to make you do 50 of them to prove it to me. If you can prove it to me in 5, okay, you have it mastered, and then we move you on to the next skill. It's pretty cool. And each of the kids can move as quickly or as slowly as they need. So we're more worried about mastery than we are a letter grade. You know, we want you to actually learn it before you move on.
Right. So now this is your first year teaching Montessori.
Yes.
So how's it been for you?
Different, but at the same time kind of awesome because I see so much success in each student as opposed to like that big blanket where I hope everybody's getting it. I get to actually work physically, a lot of times one-on-one, and make sure that a student actually understands the material before we move them on to the next concept. And so as an instructor, that really gives you that intrinsic feeling of I'm actually accomplishing something with them, as opposed to just hoping, and if a kid gets a D- and we move them on and they don't understand it, that kind of, you know, puts them further and further behind because then they're always playing the catch-up game.
So you're saying the kids progress as they master it?
As they master it, yes.
So if they haven't mastered something, they stay where
they're at.
And then they okay.
And I'll reteach it. You know, I'll have students teach it who have already mastered it because sometimes that 11-year-old brain does a better job explaining things than my 38-year-old brain. You know, they use the vocabulary and a lot of times they get that aha moment from each other because they speak the same language, you know, and they have the same experiences.
Now, how many grades do we have right here now?
We have 4th, 5th, and 6th, and I would challenge you to tell me which grade is which.
No, that's what I can't really. So now, it appears as though the students are all working on individual projects or group projects.
Yep.
And so, do they choose that, or do you help them choose that, or how's that?
I help them choose it. I actually have a very extensive record-keeping thing that I was going to show you here.
Okay.
I'll pull it up here, and I'll pull up. So what we have here is.
I don't get too deep.
Yep, the day I present it, and the day they show me mastery. So the prime numbers is the first thing we did with her. Showed it to her on September 5th. She showed me on September 12th that she can show me and had memorized all the prime numbers. Okay. So I don't expect her to do it in a day. You know, she did it, you know, it took her, you know, roughly a week. Whereas if you look down here to a different lesson, adding fractions with different denominators, it took her a day. Okay. She mastered it in a day. So she was able to move forward. So as you can see, this is all the topics she's covered, and just yesterday we started talking about adding fractions that are, or adding decimals together.
Okay. It seems like there's a lot of documentation on you then.
Yeah, very much so. But that takes the place then of the letter grade though.
Okay.
Where traditionally you would say, you know, my kid got all A's. Okay, what does that really mean? It means they satisfied their requirements at a very high level.
So there's no grades for this?
There is no grades, no.
Because
it's individual, you can't really do, I mean, I suppose I could do grades, but I really don't know how you would do that. But that takes the pressure then off the kid because I'm kind of a brain research geek too. And if your brain is under stress, you don't learn well. You just don't. Your brain goes into survival mode. So if you're constantly worried about that grade or you're constantly worried about catching up, your brain doesn't function in that learning capacity. It's more interested in survival. Where if you look around this room, kids are very relaxed. But if you watch the level of engagement throughout the day, they're probably working on something educational 90% of the day.
You know,
And
just
that's not even an exaggeration.
to an outside observer, I'm looking at this and say, well, this might be a great place to just sort of goof off for a while too. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yep.
could. I mean,
And you know, you in the beginning of the year, you have to lay that foundation of responsibility. And so in the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have been able to do this with you. Sit here and talk while they are engaged in something else. Because number one, they didn't have their time management skills at all. And number two, they didn't know how to do some of the materials. For instance, the flat bead board or the peg board there, or some of the map materials that you see here. Or the, what are the boys doing over there? The multiplication checkerboard.
this is a different way to do multiplication, right?
Well,
It's a
it isn't.
factor.
It's the same way we do it. It's just showing it concretely.
Graphically,
So
yeah.
what she is doing there with the flat bead board, as you can see, is a 7-digit times 2-digit multiplication.
Okay.
When I introduced that to Miss Miranda and who else did that? And Emma, they didn't even know they did it until at the end I said, do you realize you just multiplied 7 digits times 2? And Miranda's expression was this, oh, really? I did? And so it takes that intimidation of this is a
Right.
really huge number, but no, you're just manipulating it piece by piece, and it shows them, you know, sequentially how we do it. You know, this piece plus this piece plus this piece, and it's not so intimidating then.
Do you like it? I mean,
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've done pieces of this somewhat in the past. I've always been I went, at the time I was going through college at St. Cloud State University, they were big on differentiation. And differentiation, to people who don't know, it's kids learning at their level. Not
Class.
saying everybody has to be on this because it's November 10th and that's where I need to be on November 10th. No, it's when you're ready for it.
It's kind of a Japanese model. Everybody's on the same page every day.
Yeah. Everybody snap, boom, go to number 3, go to number 4. Yeah, and this, you know, and what you see eventually with this is for students who, and I think Miranda would wholeheartedly agree with this. She didn't like school. She was intimidated by things. Here, she's more relaxed. She can learn and progress when she's ready. She can take the time to let her brain process what she's not ready for. And what I've seen so far in this first year is that they actually start progressing faster than I would think when they have that opportunity to learn and figure things out and do a lot of peer teaching. You know, that helps too. What's up, Kyle? That's the card with the name and the picture of one. Okay, and then find that cumulonimbus. Now we just have the picture. Okay, so you throw the picture out, and then Miranda's job would be to match up. Now, here's your answer key.
Okay.
Did I get it right? Yep, got it right. If I put it here, nope, got it wrong. But there's no penalty for it. So this is called the control. So this is a three-part cards. Here's 1, there's 2, there's 3.
And there's an info
So,
thing.
and these guys, and then a little more information on cirrostratus clouds and just what they are and vocabulary.
3-part cards. Plants and trees.
Plants and trees. You're learning plants and trees.
Yes.
Oh, neat.
Okay, so what did you say? Artichoke.
Those guys are learning Spanish colors.
Yes, I got that one right.
So they're learning Spanish right over here?
Yep.
And they're learning countries, geography.
Yep. Also,
I saw a picture.
clouds, and they're probably, I think Jill's probably writing those 3, I'm guessing, just by watching or working on one of the presentations we gave yesterday on meteorology or something.
I see all these flags here, and why is it everything? Montessori has some connection to the international scene, right? Or the flags are significant.
Yeah,
Because you always see these with Montessori.
Yep,
You always
very
see
significant.
what's all that about?
Montessori does is try to provide a bigger world perspective. There's more to life than our town, our state, our country. There's a great big world out there. So, really what Montessori does is it doesn't just teach United States stuff. We've got Africa history, and it really tries to get that global perspective. So you realize you're just a part of this whole big interconnected planet. Right. And so, with all these flags, which are pretty attractive, Trent, the young man in the sweater there, and then Cordell down here, the sweatshirt, they know all the flags of, I think it's Asia. I think they learned all the flags of Asia and did that on a presentation night and just blew everybody's mind. because they said, pick a flag. They said this one, they, told them the country. It was amazing. But, you get to touch them, and it's attractive stuff just like the rest of the, like this stuff here, constellations. They can learn that on their own. Northern and Southern Hemisphere. It's there's a material for everything.
Oh yeah, this is all for classroom work.
Yep, it's all color coded. Let me grab a. Where'd they go?
So does this all come from Montessori? Do they have like a standard kind of like kit or whatever?
No, the materials are pretty standard,
Yeah.
but how you want to put them. This just comes from a separate company, but we just like this because it's really
Yeah.
nice furniture,
Nice,
really sturdy, really, really nice, and we want it to last a long time. Here's what this is how we teach division, and these whites. This is actually a place value, so we got ones, tens, hundreds. This is where the comma would go. Thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, then up to millions. Every one value, whether it's the units, the 1,000s, or the 1 millions, all that first value is always green. Second value is always blue. That's the tens. This would be the hundreds. And so that's consistent throughout the curriculum.
Oh, neat.
So even my daughter, who's 6, down in the other building, she has the same. Green is units, blues are tens, reds are hundreds. The social component is actually a big part of it in here because we have the multi-ages, so you learn to work with people because, having that body of knowledge is great, but if you can't express it, if you can't be a problem solver, if you can't collaborate with people as you grow up, there's very few fields where you're going to be successful in that you don't have to deal with people. So the social component is something we actually work on very diligently. So when you get out in the real world and you're confronted with a problem, you can fix it, you can handle it, that sort of thing. So,
You got a student here doing some vacuuming.
yep, that's Emma's job for the month.
Oh, way to go, Emma. What do you guys do?
Well, Mr. Gay gave us a few worksheets to help us on our writing and details and stuff. So we have to go through and write down all the stuff, so like name, age, height.
He says by the end of the year we're going to have really great stories and we're going to show them to our parents.
Maybe you can make a video out of one of them or two.
It's supposed to be like a chapter book, like
Yeah.
it can be as long as one.
I got 2 pages done in my story too. It's called Appaloosa Horses. It's about a girl named Paige and her grandma and grandpa, and they love horses.
You want to read the first paragraph?
Yeah, sure. I was riding a horse, a Appaloosa horse, when something happened. Here, let me tell you the story. That's the first paragraph.
Oh, good.
Can I tell you mine?
Okay.
Okay. It's called Risk Your Life. One day in a cold spring night, something was lurking through the woods. I walked outside with my dog Dottie. Dottie is black and white.
And your name is?
Sarah Libke.
In what grades are you teaching?
I have first, second, and third grade students.
And that's called?
We are called the lower elementary level of the Birchwood Public Montessori.
Now, is this your first year teaching Montessori?
It is my first year in the Montessori school.
So what's your experience been with that?
It has been a very wonderful experience. It's been a challenge, but one that I have greatly enjoyed. It's very neat to see the kids learn the material and then use it and take their own interpretation, and some of the projects that they have completed with the different Montessori materials have been just fantastic.
Now, just for someone who has no exposure to Montessori, what is the basic premise of Montessori, and what's the basic difference between Montessori and your traditional classroom setting?
The core subjects are still the same: reading, math, social studies, science. In the difference, I think the greatest difference is that the students are using a great level of hands-on, manipulative type learning, and although the students are all presented the material based on grade level, then they are able to take the material and work on it based on their interest and ability, and do different things and produce different products with the material based on their levels.
I talked to Mr. Gay about the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and he said basically the students show him that they've mastered a competency or ability, and then they move on to the next thing. Is it the same?
It is.
For you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, for you as a teacher, how has it been? I mean, maybe you already answered this, but and how's it been for the students, do you think?
I think it's been wonderful for the students. I know that I have a couple students who I think in the past were quite bored in their classroom and were perhaps distracted or easily off task, who now can sit for the morning and are just engaged and engrossed in a material or topic, and are able to concentrate and put their effort into something because of it's something that interests them, and they're working at a level that is to stimulate and challenge them.
The grades you're teaching, do the students, do they choose what they're wanting to learn, or are they kind of guided or steered?
They're guided in that I present different materials and different topics to them, and then they have a plan of knowing what they can and work with for a given week, and then they work off of that work plan with what they accomplish for the week. And I do go back and look through and say, oh, you haven't spent much time with the math materials. Let's make sure we work on that today.
Well, Mr. Gay said he feels like he's more of a facilitator than a classic teacher. How would you describe yourself?
I would agree that facilitator or guide is usually the term used for a Montessori teacher, so it would be a Montessori guide rather than a teacher, and that you are presenting the information to the students and then helping them as they need to work with and learn the material. So
Montessori is new to Birchwood. This is the first year, right?
This is the first year.
What's been your impression, and as far as a parent and as an administrator, looking at it both?
I think some of the things that we're doing in the Blue Hills Charter, or in the Birchwood Discovery School, the project-based stuff, kids being engaged, hands-on, multi-age classrooms, those type of concepts we were doing in the Blue Hills Charter Schools, and those are some of the, not the Blue Hills, I'm sorry, the Birchwood Discovery School. Those are some of the same things that we do in the Montessori School. So the nice part about the Montessori School is that the Montessori curriculum has been around forever. I mean, it's been going on. It's been tried and true, and so that allows for some common curriculum that has been used. So it allows for teachers to pull a lot of knowledge and network with a lot of different people. So an administrative part, that's been nice, is that we have a curriculum that's in place that's been around for a long time. A number of people in the area and around Wisconsin are using it, so we can network with a lot of people to become better. As a parent, it's been nice because my child, who loves learning, and he loves to do things hands-on, he's constantly bringing stuff home from Mr. Gay's class, and he's in the upper elementary, and so what he's learning there, he brings it home and he's on the computer researching and so forth.